Jacksonville Jaguars fans, welcome in to Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan Lugo. Thanks so much for being here Tuesday, January 13th. Still pretty fresh. Jacksonville Jaguars falling to the Buffalo Bills in the wild card round. Just as I mentioned yesterday and the day before, just some uncharacteristic mistakes made by the Jaguars on both sides of the ball and on special teams that ultimately, in my opinion, led to the loss, and then also the fact that I think the Jaguars should have been keeping the ball on the ground a good bit more, not out of principle, but because of the fact that they were dominating on the ground. Were they dominating through the air? They had some nice moments. They were doing some good things, but the ground game was dominant and they didn't go with it enough, in my opinion. You also had some coverage busts, very uncharacteristic of the Jaguars. The lack of effort / confusion on the, Josh Allen sneak, tush push, whatever, at the end of the game that netted the Bills, that basically gave the Bills the game. Jacoby Myers over the middle, trying to pick up a big first down late in the game, trying to come back and get that field goal you need, not being able to get that. Just some uncharacteristic things happened in this game. And all credit to the Bills. They played great. Tre'Davious White played great. Josh Allen was workmanlike in a lot of ways, took advantage when he needed to of some busted coverages, was incredibly tough and gutsy, and so much credit goes their way. But I do think the Jaguars, if they had played their game, would have been able to win the game. I mean, it still was about as close as it gets, right? So Jaguars, they're moving on to the offseason, and with the offseason comes certain news developments. And when you have a really hot team like the Jaguars, they won 13 games in their first season with this new regime, you're going to get assistant coaches that are requested for interviews with other teams with better positions, higher ranking positions within teams. And Grant Udinski, he's requested by the Browns. So we're going to talk about it. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. You can also check out genjag.com, pick up some new Duval gear, help support the channel, look good while doing it. Again, thank y'all so much for riding with me this whole 2025 season. If you've been here before, longer than that, that's amazing. Thank you so much. And we're going to have full coverage of this Jacksonville Jaguars offseason as well here. The coverage never stops at GenJag. So if you're not, please subscribe. Now, Grant Udinski recently turned 30 years old. Very young man. Absolutely wild. He's only been an offensive coordinator for 1 year in the NFL. And not even a play calling offensive coordinator at that, which makes it seem somewhat unlikely that he will get a job this year. From a certain lens, right? But it's also just like the fact that I see a Browns fan on Twitter that makes a good point. Like, UK Browns NFL says Grant Udinski is going to be an NFL head coach, whether it's this year, the next, or the year after that. If you think he can be successful within your organization, then you should get ahead of the curve and hire him. Now, as long as he's ready. Do I know if he's ready? I'm not sure, but I will say super hardworking, unbelievably detailed. Every time I asked him about something that happened in a game where it was like, there was a couple times where I asked him about some things that kind of seemed like they were a little bit fluky of a situation. And, even the things that might appear fluky, they are working to correct in whatever possible way they can, right? There is no stone left unturned with Grant Udinski. He's incredibly smart. He's hardworking. I think he's a likable guy. I don't know. I haven't seen him in a team meeting room setting. I haven't, seen how he could lead an entire organization necessarily. that would be kind of the question mark in my mind. Obviously, if you're able to speak with Liam Cohen and Kevin O'Connell and some of the other people he's worked with and try to figure those things out, sure. But my gut right now is that he's probably not going to be a head coach this cycle. You just usually don't see a first-year offensive coordinator who didn't call plays. And I mean, yeah, the fact that he was 29 for most of this season, that's fairly unprecedented too. I mean, that's wild. It's a testament to his work that he's put in this short time in the NFL. And it's crazy. Like, he's an offensive coordinator. He played defense. I mean, he was a defensive lineman in college. But I think he is a special person. I do think he's going to go far in this league. I think he has everything you kind of look for from again, details, smart, hardworking. Those things are all there in spades for Grant Udinski. And so if the Jags end up losing him, I do think it's a big loss. Like, Liam Cohen brought him in here to be the offensive coordinator, despite his relative lack of experience, for a reason. And he did a great job, in my opinion. Now, if he ends up getting the job, the Jaguars will have a coordinator position to fill. We'll keep talking about this, but first, do want to remind y'all, Underdog is the best place to play. Playing Underdog is extremely easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. And now you can make team picks on Underdog. It's brand new. You can make team picks throughout the playoffs, whether you like maybe the Bills or the Broncos, whoever it may be. Check it out. I'm personally right now looking at Josh Allen higher than 217.5 passing yards against the Broncos. I think he's going to have that, and I think he's going to deliver that. And then I'm also looking at Drake May lower than 227.5 passing yards against the Texans. The Texans defense, pretty unbelievable, right? I just think that they're going to be able to travel. They're going to be able to do a good job and slow down that Patriots passing attack. That's what I'm looking at. Download the app today and sign up with promo code DuvalDaily to score $75 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code DuvalDaily. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. So let's just talk about what happens if Grant Udinski does get the Browns job, which I'm not saying he's not deserving of it. It's just like from a historical, how do these things normally work out? You wouldn't expect him to be the one to get the job after only 1 year of being an offensive coordinator and not being the play caller. Because if you're going to hire an offensive head coach, really, it's difficult for me to, if you're just looking at him as a CEO head coach, it's difficult for me to get on board with that process in this day and age. I think it gives you such an advantage as an organization to have a head coach on one that has an expertise on one side of the ball and gives you a decided advantage there. Now, that coach also needs to be a great leader, needs to be able to organize and lead an entire organization, right? But I think it puts you at a disadvantage if you have a CEO head coach. And I think you're seeing that across the league in some spots. You just need the guy that really is a mastermind on one of those sides of the ball. And I'm not saying Grant Udinski's not. I'm just saying we haven't seen him call plays. So if he did become a head coach, would he then become a play caller? I'm not sure. Just some interesting thoughts, right? I will say this. If Grant Udinski moves on, becomes a head coach, whether it's with the Browns or somebody else this offseason, The Jaguars will have some work to do to fill his shoes. And again, it's not play calling shoes, but it is the details, the organization, the practice, right? All these things that he does a really good job communicating. He's an incredibly effective communicator. He's clear and concise in what he is trying to communicate, whether that's to players, coaches, other people inside the building, media, it doesn't matter. Great communicator. Who could be the Jaguars' next offensive coordinator if Grant Udinski does end up getting the head coaching job? And would he even want the head coaching job in Cleveland is another thing we can talk about. I'm not sure. I'm really not. But Josh Grizzard, he got fired by the Buccaneers, right? Kind of a scapegoat situation. And things did fall apart for their offense. There's no question about it. Did not go well down the stretch. But Josh Grizzard is certainly someone that Liam Cohen is very familiar with. Was his quarterbacks coach, I believe, in Tampa prior to becoming the offensive coordinator. So it is kind of funny. The Bucs now, I think it's 5 straight years with an offensive coordinator change. But is it possible they could bring him over? Maybe. He doesn't give me the same vibes as a communicator as Grant Udinski, but not a lot of people do. I think Yudinski is a pretty rare guy in terms of just his ability to communicate effectively and clearly. But Josh Grizzard is, certainly someone that has connections to this staff that could be a potential candidate to come in and be an offensive coordinator. Or he was the pass game coordinator with the Bucs in 2024 under Liam Cohen. Murray's getting fired up about this out there. Don't know if y'all can hear, but Josh Grizzard has the connection to the staff that you could look at. I think you also have a possibility. Maybe he comes in as a different role. You have some people here who could, within the building, step up to be the offensive coordinator. That could be the path as well. I think you look at Spencer Whipple. I think you look at, you also have, obviously on staff, our guy, who I don't know why, I'm probably drawing a blank right now because Murray's barking so much, but your pass game coordinator, who has done a lot of great stuff with the Jaguars. Shane Waldron, sorry about that. He's done a lot of great stuff with the Jaguars this year, just in terms of, red zone, the gotta have it moment type of plays, like the 4th down short, the 3rd down, like all these decisions. He's been an integral part of the Jaguars this year, for sure. I know that he had some less than favorable reviews in the past from some players in Seattle, in Chicago. So I don't know if you want to elevate him to that big of a role, like in terms of facing the team as much. I don't know. Not saying you don't, but certainly Jackson Smith and Jigba had some choice words about him, some Bears players as well. I don't know. I thought he did a good job in his role here this year. But yeah, Spencer Whipple, I think as the Jaguars quarterbacks coach, could make sense potentially. There could be somebody else that we have no idea about. But again, my best guess is that the Jaguars are able to retain Grant Udinski this year, and then maybe next year he ends up, because only getting one interview, it's difficult to get the job if you only get one interview. He could get more. The Browns are the only ones that is reported right now. And hey, wasn't a lot of people banging down the door to interview Liam Cohen for their head coaching job last year, and he came into Jacksonville and did a great job. So I'm not saying that at all. And then you also have just the other interesting part of it for me is if Grant Udinski was going to get the job, and does he want the job? I'm sure he should take the interview. Absolutely. But do you want to go to that organization where it's kind of been a mess? And look, Andrew Berry, I do think he's a smart guy. The whole Deshaun Watson situation has been a complete mess. They haven't been as good in the draft as I think a lot of folks kind of think about. They have had some good hits. I think this past draft when they, traded with the Jaguars, they did some good things there. That's an organization that feels a little cursed. And they still are not. What's the quarterback plan? I would have some serious reservations about potentially making the Browns my first opportunity to be a head coach. Now, you never know when you're going to get another opportunity. Maybe things don't go as well next year with the Jaguars, which, Lord forbid. Jags fans need some sustained success around here. I mean, if they need anything, that's what they need. So hopefully that's not the case, but you never do know when you're going to get another opportunity. So that's why a lot of people end up just taking jobs that might not be the best situation, but they say, hey, we're going to make the best out of the situation we've got here because this is our one shot, our opportunity. Eminem. So I think that pretty much covers the Grant Udinski situation. I think he's incredibly bright. I think he's probably deserving of this interview, and I can't say for sure that I think he's going to be like a superstar head coach or that I don't. I do know that he's got the communication skills. He's got the detail-oriented mindset. He's got the work ethic. That's a lot of the things you need right there. We'll keep you updated on Jaguars' potential, coaching staff guys getting interviews elsewhere throughout this hiring process in the NFL. Still the playoffs, but the NFL offseason for a lot of teams, including the Jaguars. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.